and thank you for joining us. Today you'll learn more about NYFA's Fiscal Sponsorship Program and our application process.
We'll take questions at the end, so hold your questions and put them in the comment section.
My name is Madeline Catrona, Senior Program Officer in Fiscal Sponsorship.
My name is Madeline Scholl, Program Officer in Fiscal Sponsorship. Yes, we have two people named Madeline who work in this department.
Fiscal Sponsorship lets you use NYFA's charitable tax status to raise money for your arts-based project or emerging organization. We're not a grant, but we do help you apply to grants.
The ability to use NYFA's nonprofit status lets you give individual donors a tax deduction and apply for grants only available to nonprofits. These include government funds, private foundations, and corporate monies.
This type of relationship is a fiscal sponsorship relationship. It allows NYFA to extend its 501c3 charitable tax status to benefit the activities of individual artists and organizations like you.
We see this program as a unique opportunity to help artists raise money for specific projects.
This is also why projects in our program must add value to the public sphere and cannot only benefit the artist.
We call this concept a public benefit. If you have any questions about how your project meets this specific requirement, please contact us. We can be reached at sponsorship@nyfa.org.
NYFA sponsors projects in all disciplines. This is a strength of our program. To capture the breadth of these projects and demonstrate the ways you can use sponsorship, let's look at some projects currently enrolled in the program.
Incorrigibles by Allison Corman is a multimedia project consisting of an archive, book, and a website. This project has received both institutional and state funding. Funding sources include the New York State Council on the Arts, NYSCA, the National Endowment for the Humanities, and Humanities New York.
Mary Madeleine's Floating Food Forest, aka SWELL, used fiscal sponsorship to attract corporate partners. Whole Foods supported this project through its community giving program.
Anna DeVere Smith's Pipeline Project investigates the school-to-prison pipeline through public convenings and theater. Her play, Notes from the Field, is the centerpiece of this project and was adapted for HBO. This project also received support from private foundations such as Ford and Mellon.
NYFA also offers sponsorship to meet the needs of emerging organizations, or what we call as EOs. Caribbean, led by founder and chief curator Shelley Worrell, builds cultural awareness and fosters Caribbean heritage through film, art, and culture.
Our fiscal sponsorship program offers two tracks, which are artist projects, which serve the needs of individual artists and collectives, and EOs, such as Caribbean.
EOs operate as organizations because they carry out multiple programs.
Many EOs use our program as a stepping stone and eventually go on to receive their own 501c3 charitable status.
Our last example, The Garden Left Behind, is the first feature-length film directed by Flavio Alves. It's also the first independent film to be funded substantially through donations and sales on eBay.
Can you speak louder?
Use the hashtag eBayMyFilm to learn more. Flavio leveraged the support of individual donors to fund his project by crowdsourcing forgotten goods with this hashtag.
The Garden Left Behind also received support from the Jerome Foundation.
If you have questions, please add them to the comment section. We'll be sure to answer them at the end of the presentation.
As you can see, our fiscal sponsorship program is a community of across disciplines, and the tools we provide help a diverse range of artists meet their fundraising goals, tell their stories, and make art.
Through our fiscal sponsorship program, NYFA carries out its mission to empower artists across disciplines at critical stages in their creative lives. Fiscal sponsorship is also one of NYFA's founding programs. We're one of the oldest and most reputable fiscal sponsors in the country.
Our program prides itself on staff connections with artists, and so we offer fundraising strategies, project management, review of your grant research and project drafts, marketing materials, and will submit a grant on your behalf. And all of this is at no additional cost to you.
To help artists meet their needs, we offer quarterly deadlines at 4 times throughout the calendar year for no fee, with a 3-week turnaround time about the status of your application.
Our application calls for a narrative project description, a comprehensive budget, a description of your fundraising strategy, support materials such as work samples or diagrams, and a letter of support.
For artist projects, NYFA takes an 8% administrative fee on all contributed income raised. For EOs, this fee applies to contributed and earned income. It's NYFA's policy not to charge additional fees for any of the services and consultations we offer.
We've created a sample application to help you apply. You can see a link to this in the comments section. You can also send any applications to sponsorship@nyfa.org.
Now that we've given you a brief overview of our program and the application process, let's open the floor to questions.
And remember, you can post your questions in the comments section. Our colleague Amy Aronoff will be reading us your questions. It looks like we have one.
We have a question from Eva who asks, what exactly is an emerging organization? And does it need an individual tax? I'm not sure what the rest of the question is, but maybe if you first describe what an emerging organization is again for our audience.
Sure. So an emerging organization is different than an artist project in that an organization typically has multiple programs that it's conducting at the same time. The part of the question that got cut off might have been about a tax ID number. And yes, for NYFA's program, an emerging organization needs to be incorporated at the state level as a nonprofit organization, and that gives the organization its own tax ID, typically an EIN. We have many projects in the program that start off as artist projects and later transition to the emerging organization status if they decide that eventually they might want to get their 501c3. As Madeline mentioned, the emerging organization status can be a stepping stone for emerging organization to become independent down the line.
We also have some sample questions if there are no other questions coming in at the moment, which we can go ahead and ask now.
One I often get asked is, what is the most important part of a fiscal sponsorship application?
Our panel evaluates all sections equally, so it's really important that each section demonstrates to the panel that you can, in fact, carry out this project. The panel loves to see that you've thought of every last detail and all the maybe scenarios that you plan for your project. We understand you may not have all these things worked out at this time, but the panel wants to see that you've reasoned out your process.
Another question.
Yes, Olga asks, what comes first, lining up a nonprofit to agree to your proposal or applying for fiscal sponsorship?
Well, I think that depends a little bit on what the proposal is, Olga. We work with projects at all phases in their lives. So sometimes in a film project, a project will come to us in pre-production and more specific details, or reply in the comment section.
We also have a question from William who asks, is this application only for projects based in the United States?
No, our program is an international one. You also don't need to live in New York State. We do require that you have a tax ID number, so maybe that's a social security number or an EIN number in order to apply, but your project can absolutely occur outside of the continental United States.
And we have a question from Mark who asks, how long does it take to complete the application?
That's a good question. It certainly depends on your comfort level and having the required resources necessary. I typically suggest that folks give themselves a 2-week window before applying, and if you're not sure if that fits your needs or timeline, you should definitely check out our sample application because it goes into detail about what's required for each section. The great thing about our quarterly application deadlines is that if you miss our next upcoming one, you can always apply the next cycle.
We have some more sample questions that we can turn to.
One I often get asked is if an artist needs to have any money raised before applying to our fiscal sponsorship program.
You do not need to have any money raised prior to applying. You definitely want to talk about your revenue streams within your budget and tell us how you plan to fund this project, but NYFA doesn't necessarily expect to see any capital already in place at the time of applying.
And are there any budget requirements or things that an applicant should look out for?
You definitely want to include both income and expenses in your budget, and make sure anything that you talk about in either your narrative or your budget is substantiated in both places. So if you're saying, I'm going to have a traveling exhibition, we want to make sure you tell us how you're paying for that in your budget, or if you include a line item in that in your budget, make sure that's also in your narrative.
Great.
We have some more sample questions. What is a common mistake NYFA sees on applications?
So applications that tend to be general or non-specific typically don't offer the panel enough information to evaluate the application. So it's very important to be clear about that and to ensure that the parameters of the project, such as the beginning or estimated completion time, are clearly defined. Since fiscal sponsorship is project-based, we don't sponsor an artist's entire practice. Another common error on applications is when different sections of the application do not share the same story, which goes back to the example you gave about budgets.
We have another question from Miguel who asks, if you applied for and or received one of this year's NYFA Artist Fellowships, can you still apply for a fiscal sponsorship?
Yes. Yes, great question, Miguel. The NYFA Artist Fellowship is an independent program from NYFA Fiscal Sponsorship. So congratulations on that award. And yes, please apply with a project to NYFA Fiscal Sponsorship. The application requires some different information than the NYFA Artist Fellowship Award did. So again, be sure to check out our sample application to help you apply.
Another common question we get is, may I take an artist fee?
Yes, please. Please take an artist fee and pay yourself as well as vendors and independent contractors who are helping you execute your proposed project. Typically, project directors do not pay themselves more than 20% of the budget. Of course, this varies from project to project, but make sure it's explained in the narrative. I often get asked how many projects we accept into our fiscal sponsorship program at any given application cycle.
NYFA has no limit to the number of applications project in a given cycle. We evaluate each project independently, and we look at its feasibility, its public benefit, and overall sort of cohesive application. It's important. Successful applications are thorough, professional, and demonstrate a plan for execution.
We have another question, this one coming from Eva, who asks, could the individual project, for instance, a book publishing project, be monetized if it was funded, or would the project need to be free to the public?
That is a great question, Eva. Thank you for asking it. No, a project does not need to be free in order for it to demonstrate a public benefit component. That does mean that the project would need to be accessible to the public. So as long as the book was for sale, perhaps in person at a bookstore or online through the artist's website, through Amazon, it would be meeting that public benefit component. And typically, when you're working on a nonprofit project budget, one would show the expected revenue or earned income from those book sales on the income side of the budget, and together the income and project expenses would balance to zero. So the panel wants to see all of these ins and outs and details about how your project anticipates raising money, whether that's through grants or individual donors, as well as earned income. It's really important to include that in your budget, and thanks for asking the question, Eva.
We have another question from Stefa, who says, I am a composer and performer. Could I apply for an ongoing narrative project that will ultimately be presented to the public?
Yeah, that kind of project is absolutely eligible. It's absolutely fine to have a project be ongoing. You would definitely want to include what that sort of final goal is within your application, whether it be, it sounds like you want to secure a venue to present this project, but it's absolutely fine to have an interdisciplinary project that's at the moment ongoing with not an end date sort of established.
And to add to that, whenever a project is listed, whether it's an ongoing project or has an end date, it's important to include a timeline for that project, particularly in a case like this where it sounds like the final public component is happening sometime in the future. The panel would want to see if that's in 1 year, if that's in 2 years, and what steps the artist is taking in order to reach that ultimate goal.
We have a follow-up question from Miguel, who asks, is there a typical or average level of monetary sponsorship? And for that matter, is there a cap to what one should ask for?
Good question. Well, want to note that in order to apply to NYFA Fiscal sponsorship, we do require a minimum budget of $15,000. So you need to make sure that the scope of your project met that requirement. Beyond that, how much you might ask from an individual donor or how much you would ask for when applying to a grant depends a lot on what your project is and who the parties are that you're reaching out to for those funds. And since that's so specific, Miguel, please email sponsorship@nyfa.org so we can chat a little bit more about the project that you have in mind. Do you have anything to add to that?
I would also say, if you are in the program, you could always come and talk to us about information that you know, an ask you may be wanting to pitch to someone or some fundraising lingo. We're always happy to look at that kind of information and have the conversation about whether or not your ask feels appropriate for either the funding institution or the individual or whatever it may be.
We understand that when artists are applying to NYFA Fiscal sponsorship, often they don't have money raised yet, so the budget that they'd be submitting to us is projected, both projected in terms of what your expenses will be to carry out these activities, and the income will be projected. So you might not know exactly how much raise through grants or from individual donors through corporate sponsors. That is perfectly acceptable. It is totally normal. And the thing to concern yourself with, making sure those numbers are a reasonable amount based upon your past experience, scope of the project, and any limitations set out in a grant.
We have another follow-up question from William. He is asking, a person like myself who doesn't live in the US, can he apply for fiscal sponsorship? He is a Brazilian living in Brazil.
It sounds like he does not have a U.S. taxpayer ID, and that is the requirement in order to apply and to be accepted into our fiscal sponsorship program. So if he doesn't have a U.S. EIN or social security number, unfortunately he's not eligible to apply to our fiscal sponsorship program. Sometimes I get questions from students who are wondering if they can be part of the program.
Unfortunately, students enrolled in a degree granting program are ineligible to apply for NYFA fiscal sponsorship. NYFA has a ton of other resources available to students, but unfortunately sponsorship is not something those enrolled in a degree granting program can apply.
But come talk to us after you graduate.
Exactly. People often ask us when they'll hear back about their application.
And I'm happy to report we have a convenient 3-week turnaround time for notification after each quarterly deadline. If you need a faster response, please consider applying for an audit cycle review. You can do so by emailing us at sponsorship@nyfa.org.
We have another question from Eva. She says, you had mentioned a few funding organizations such as Ford and Mellon Foundation. Does NYFA have resources to research funding organizations?
Well, we have staff resources to help artists sort through their own grant research. We also have a series of other organizations and online databases that we're happy to direct artists to encourage them to conduct their own research. I think this also ties into the fundraising strategy consultations that we have with projects and organizations. That's built into our program with no additional charge, and it's an opportunity for our staff to work with you to help create a fundraising plan that meets the specific needs of your project. Thanks again for asking, Eva.
Thanks all of you for asking good questions.
And follow-ups.
We have a few other sample questions. A question we often get is, I'm interested in applying for fiscal sponsorship for my artist project, but at what stage of the project should I apply?
Since every project is so different, there's no one-size-fits-all answer. However, if as an artist you can thoroughly answer the who, what, where, why, when, and how of your project, really giving the panel detailed information about the operations, about the project's projected budget, then you're in good shape to apply.
I'll also add that NYFA offers pre-application reviews for $50 an hour. If this is something you're interested in, feel free to send us an email at sponsorship@nyfa.org. We'd be happy to arrange a meeting with you and look at your application materials prior to applying.
Excellent.
We have another question that has come in from Theodora. Is there any consultation sessions for the first-time applicants? I think you were answering that, and also, could you please provide a direct link to the application sample, which there is a link in the comments section, but we will be sure to repost that link at the conclusion of this seminar. So yes, definitely.
And again, you can also email us questions with, if you look at the guide and then you're confused about something specific.
Yeah, thank you for asking that, Theodora. And if we don't have any last questions, I want to encourage everybody to visit NYFA.org for links to additional resources and send an enormous thank you for all of you for tuning in and asking great questions.
I can't wait to read your applications.
Me neither. And we really do love questions, so please reach out and we'll get back to you soon.
This is where you can reach out.